Responsibilities such as the collection of food, fuel, and water mean women, particularly rural women, play a crucial role in the use and management of land and natural resources. Unfortunately, the ability of women to access and control these natural resources is severely hampered by unequal power relations, as well as cultural and societal norms that tend to discriminate against women. For example, male-controlled natural resource governance and management invariably leads to agreements being made during which women are completely excluded from the process and decision-making. Discrimination against women is especially evident in relation to access to land, where several countries and communities have laws, policies, and customs that prohibit the ownership of land by women. Even if women were to own or be responsible for their own land grabs, driven by need for foreign investment, commercial agriculture, mineral extraction, or for energy production, result in not only the displacement of women, but also the eviction of local communities, often with violence and without adequate compensation. Women, whether within rural communities or indigenous communities, are especially affected by land grabs. This is because if a community no longer has access to adequate land resources, it raises food security concerns. And with the burden to provide for the family resting more heavily on women than men, it is women who find themselves being pushed into vulnerable, poorly paid, and insecure positions of employment. To resolve these issues, states must use international human rights standards in all processes. It would therefore be a human rights violation if states, by leasing or selling land to foreign or local investors, deprived local communities access to resources needed for their livelihood. States have an obligation to ensure their actions do not create food insecurity. The CEDAW Committee continues to provide guidance to states on their obligations in ensuring the rights of women are respected, protected, and fulfilled in all spheres, including natural resource management, shown by CEDAW's adoption of General Recommendations 34 on rights of rural women, which places a strong emphasis on rural women's rights to land and natural resources. Within General Recommendation 34, the committee highlights that it considers rural women's rights to land, natural resources, including water, seeds and forestry, as well as fisheries, as fundamental human rights. Further support comes from the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, which makes it clear that there is an obligation to obtain the free and prior informed consent of communities, especially so in connection with the development or exploitation of mineral, water and other resources. The UN Special Rapporteur, an independent expert on the right to food, has also identified 11 principles based on international human rights law to not only address the human rights challenges of large-scale land acquisitions and leases, but also to highlight the role of other private players or stakeholders and how they too have a responsibility to respect such rights. With CEDAW and other human rights instruments, we can work to eliminate discrimination against women and their rights to land and natural resources.